Queenie had a peep over the right shoulder, and she's going to blow them away. But Northerly, Danny Miller pumping away, and Northerly wins the railway.
Welcome to Racing Rewind. Our panel will review and digest the Prime WA Saturday Thoroughbred meeting from 24 hours earlier. If you have an opinion, send a text to 0427 789 571.
Galaxy Star draws away from them. Pike Magician.
New Look team joins us for Racing Rewind today. Rylie Morgan and Matty French. How are we going, lads?
Hello, Marty. Hello, Matt. How are you?
Yes, good, boys. Nice to be in the studio again. Looking forward to today reviewing Scenic Blast and getting a chance to speak to Danny Morton later on in the show. Pretty excited driving into the studio, to be honest.
Yeah, be a special guest and tell us about winning the race named after his great warrior. But first off, what was it like out there yesterday? How did the track play?
I thought it was relatively fair, Matty. Were you in the same camp?
Very much so. I think we saw a leader in the last and the race 7 as well, and you could also make ground up throughout the day. I thought it was a really fair pad out there yesterday to bet into a few races.
Maybe that sea breeze didn't come in, Marty, as much as we thought it might late in the program.
Stipes room?
Pretty light on, I thought. I saw Chris got done for careless riding, just a reprimand, and there were a few whip breaches, and I think Clint got fined $100 for failing to get back to the mounting enclosure on time in race 3.
He had a great day, all the same, CJP.
Oh, what a great day. Yeah, how good is he riding too, Rylie?
Yeah, it was a big day for Clint there yesterday. Maybe he was just doing a victory lap after another. He rode enough of them early on the program, so no, well done to Clint. He had a great day in the saddle.
2-year-olds, there was a lot expected of Glasgow Lass going in as favourite for the Magic Millions plate over the 1100 metres.
They come toward the 500-metre mark and flying along the newcomer. Take your chances, a length and a half. Harry the Prince just holding for the moment. Southern Scandal in a bit of a pocket coming into the straight. Around them goes Big Shots, and Glasgow Lass is peeling to the outside, beginning to run on as well. Hitting the lead, Big Shots by the 200 mark, but here comes Glasgow Lass. And Glasgow Lass and Big Shots are coming away to fight it out, but Glasgow Lass is going by far, far the better. Glasgow Lass draws clear, an impressive debut. Glasgow Lass pricked the ears up and scored by a length and a half. Big Shots. Third home was Buster's Girl, and
Lived up to expectations, Riles, or what?
Certainly did. This horse, she went around in the trial prior to this race there yesterday, and she went around with Golden Vale, who I thought was probably been the benchmark for the 2-year-olds, Matty, that we've seen wheeled out at the track this season to date, I would say, and she got the better of that horse in the trial. And when Lucy Fiore was able to get this horse 2 back, 1 off the fence from the wide barrier there yesterday, you thought, from a long way out, she looked your winner.
Certainly did, and I think Lockie summed it up good in the mounting yard after the race, where race 1 and ride of the day nearly already set in stone. I thought it was a beautiful ride from Lucy to be able to get a really forward position and didn't have to break stride at all. And on the turn, you're right, I think it was the only horse you really wanted to be on in running. Big Shots took it up to it as well for a time, but Glasgow Lass had his measure. I thought a long way out, and as Lucy said, I think if there was another horse running alongside of it, she would have found an extra few lengths on Glasgow Lass as well. So quite an exciting horse moving forward, and I think we'll be seeing her in the Karrakatta. I think they're aiming her up for.
I think the preparation, they're looking at potentially a Supremacy Gimcrack into the Karrakatta, may even bypass the Supremacy at 1,000 metres. We saw her win there yesterday over the 1,100 mark, and for mine, she certainly looks a horse who's going to get over a bit further than that as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we see her running around in a size as well over 14.
Yeah, and Darren in the call, I thought as well, he got a few really good comments in yesterday in terms of picking those horses who had poor luck in running or had really big runs, and he picked up a few in this race too, with Elite Missile coming from dead last and running the fastest last 600. I thought he made some very nice ground when he had to slice in between runners, to be fair, and drew barrier 13, so I can't wait to see that horse step up to possibly 1,200 metres and draw a better gate as well, Rylie.
SJ's pair were really good. Elite Missile, Brazen Beard, I thought they were both terrific runs, particularly Elite Missile on debut. This horse, we spoke about him on the Straight Up podcast on Thursday, that he trialled up very nicely. The barrier was always going to be the sticking point for him there yesterday, but the way he finished off, he was in that almost detached group. There was about half that were there, and there was half that were detached from the group, and they lost sort of touch through the middle stages of the race, and he was back there, and the way he finished off, I thought was outstanding. It was a great debut.
Couldn't agree more. The only other horse I probably wanted to mention was Take Your Chances in this race as well. The leader who set that frenetic tempo that we saw up on pace just went too hard and too fast in front, and it really did set it up for a horse like Glasgow Lass, who moved forward at the start of the race to be able to slot in quite nicely. And I think it's a professional, fast horse, but it might just have a lot more learning to do moving forward.
Yeah, by Alabama Express, the winner. That's Caravas, won the Ottawa Stakes at Group 3 up the straight there at Flemington. Also the Shangri-La Express, Gay and Adrian's 2-year-old that won the Inglis Golden Gift. So he's doing a good job, Alabama Express.
He is. He certainly is.
Yeah. Let's go on to race number 2 now.
Son of Redouts.
Yeah, Son of Redouts. Big Shots just didn't get around the bend as good as you would have thought with a horse with his experience. Probably cost himself a little bit of ground there.
I don't think it would have impacted the result.
No, it's not impacting the result.
Yeah.
That's obvious, Matt. But I'm saying
Just wobbled around a bit.
Just wobbled around a little bit.
Yeah.
And he was a long way clear of the third horse. So
I think Brazen Bit and Big Shots are very, very similar in terms of ability. They finished quite closely last start down at Pinjarra, and yesterday you saw with the difference, they finished off, I think, 3 lengths from each other or so. But there was just purely barrier and race dependent.
Agree.
race number 2, the Ray Posey Memorial Plate over the 1,200 metres.
And relegated to last is Ancient Guidance, 400 from home. All play just in front. Camera Action looked to be in cruise mode up there, running second. And then Robbing Danger to the outside as Elite Ones finds room near the rail. Behind them, Snippy Witch, Rocket Juice further back. Camera Action hits the lead though. It's Camera Action racing clear by a length. Snippy Witch is the danger. It's Camera Action. Snippy Witch is in pursuit, going well. Snippy Witch grabbed it in the shadows. Snippy Witch has just picked off Camera Action and has won it in a camera. Over on the outside, Rocket Juice has run third from Robbing Danger. All play weakening.
There's the CJP's winners for the day. Snippy Witch.
It's been a great preparation for this horse. He's going super, and I guess the query with him yesterday was he was coming out of, I guess, lesser company back into Saturday 3-year-old grade, but he was always going to get that run, that cuddled up bit of cover run that he needs to produce his best, and he was able to do that yesterday. And I thought it was a real tradesman-like victory the way that Clint Johnson-Porter was able to lift this horse over the line late and get the job done there, Matt.
Yeah, agreed. He's a model of consistency, this preparation as well. And you're right, he started off his campaign at Ascot, 2 lengths to Final Siren, 3 lengths to Leading Taddy, and then he's gone around in the Bunbury Pinjarra courses, and he's done well over there. I know he came second last start at Pinjarra, but that was just purely track dependent. You had to be leading or up on pace, and he just got too far back. So he's a victim of circumstances there. Yep. And yesterday he had a very similar run actually to that Pinjarra run where he's cuddled up on the fence, and Clint was just able to extricate him without losing a stride through back the fence. It was beautiful to watch, and Camera Action, who'd sat in the breeze throughout, he kicked strongly, I thought, and she will definitely be winning races. I thought this was quite a quality field that we saw yesterday. So, to be beating Rocket Juice, who's had some really good form lines over the last few weeks, I think the Caseys have got a really nice horse there.
I don't think he's any star, but he's going to be consistent, and he's going to run a lot of good races and win more races in this sort of company moving forward as well, Stippy Witch.
Yeah, absolutely. We also saw yesterday All Play, correct me if I'm wrong, but leading for the first time, I think it was, and it was over 1,200 metres with Joey from Barrier 1. I don't think it was probably suited from leading. I think it's better with a bunny to follow. And Marty, as you just said, with Big Shots, All Play certainly didn't handle the turn yesterday. He drifted off significantly, I thought,
yep.
And I thought that might have been because he had no horse to follow.
We see some, and I know Marty, you'll be following this as well. We see some pretty big drifts in WA racing in comparison, I think, to some of the eastern states, and All Play yesterday, second up to 1,200 metres, you'd think that probably is suitable for this horse who's going to improve for having that run under the belt as well. To see this horse drift the way that he did, $3.80, $3.60 out to about almost $6, touching $6 late in the piece, that was a very concerning drift for mine.
I wasn't sure if it was him drifting or was it the support for Rocket Juice, because I saw that got backed in heavily. Wasn't it 440 or something to 280? And to be fair, I thought Rocket Juice had every chance, to be fair. I thought it got the perfect lead up and was pretty disappointing.
I thought, looking at Rocket Juice, 14 back to 12, had it been 1,400, it would have been probably hard to beat.
Yep.
Just on the winner, Snippy Witch, bred by Scenic Lodge, and the unreserved dispersal of Scenic Lodge horses will commence this Friday, 2nd of February, via the English digital online sale. 68 individual horses will be offered totally unreserved. The sale will feature a variety of stock, including broodmares, many with foals at foot, plus yearlings, weanlings and racehorses. From the stud that bred Scenic Blast and Playing God, there will be plenty of quality and value on offer. So get on to the English digital site, or for more information, contact Jeremy Smith on 0419 943 356.
Certainly will. And I think we just want to touch on the second horse as well here. In the race, Matt, in camera action, this horse comes through that 3-year-old maiden at Pinjarra behind Made in Mexico, and I think you can follow that form reference and horses coming out of that race with a bit of confidence moving forward, because that was a terrific run there yesterday, and there was some really good support for this horse late in the piece as well.
Yes, agreed with all of that.
On to race number 3, the Tab Touch West Speed Platinum Handicap over the 1,500 metres.
Weapon back behind them, crowded for a bit of room at this particular stage. Then deeper out around the outside of those, Wack and Tanker back there with Brave Contender, Zaza Rock, forget about Zero Consequence as they turn for home. Full of Merit, joined by Here for Checks, who ranges up, grabs the lead now. Here for Checks, tested by Carberry, draws the Shillelagh, got about a half to 3/4 on. Full of Merit behind them. Seduce Me, Filthy Habits further back. It's Here for Checks in front, close to home, doing enough and finally cracks it. Here for Checks over Full of Merit. Third tight, Seduce Me or Wonder Weapon, who was getting between horses late.
Yes, he was flashing late, Wonder Weapon, but well done to Mickey Heaton. Made that his best of the day, and Here for Checks saluted at the good odds.
Certainly did, and it's hard to argue with the setup for this horse there yesterday, and he's been bursting to win a race all campaign, and that was a really nice setup there yesterday for him. My little query with him, Marty, heading in was probably whether or not he had that little setback with that late scratching morning of in a race that looked very suitable for him at Pinjarra, but the way that Bernie Miller has been able to keep this horse up and produce him to race consistently at the races have been super all campaign, and it was a much-deserved win there yesterday, Matt.
Certainly was. I just having a look at his statistics for this entire prep, he's finished worst, was 5th place. You know, like he's been a model of consistency. And last start, I think the reason why quite a few liked him yesterday was he just held up at the inopportune time. And yesterday, Paddy just had him out free rolling in the breeze and had every chance to roll over. Full of Merit, who stuck on really well, I thought, after taking up the lead mid-race, and it allowed Here for Checks just to get the beautiful rolling motion. It never had to stop or pull out. Like, he just kept on moving, and I think that's exactly what this horse needed yesterday. I wanted to touch on Full of Merit as well. That's 3 good runs now this campaign, I thought. Won its maiden length of Manhattan Strip last start with no room, and then yesterday we had to work to the lead and just went down to Here for Checks. So I thought it's racing really well for Luciani stable, and Holly's riding well.
So she was 42 days between runs. She was 6 weeks between runs there yesterday. You go back through her preparation, her run over 1,500 metres, beaten half a length Autumn Rebel, was off 45-day spacing, and then her maiden win the next start was off a month between runs. So clearly they've worked out this mare. Her runs are best done spaced.
So we might see her in 4 weeks' time, and might be a follow from that, but we have to touch on Wonder Weapon as well.
Oh, do we have to?
Yeah, I know. It's in the follow file, and look, nothing really went right, unfortunately, did it?
No.
Barrier 3, and you're following Seduce Me, who's probably going to be settling, forward of midfield, and he's just got pulled back too far, and as soon as he didn't get room until about 100 metres, and he was slicing through runners, and I thought, honestly, he should have won by about 2.
The money for this horse late was relentless. She is absolutely flying, it's fair to say. Wonder Weapon, and no luck there yesterday, but the time will come very soon.
Also, just wanted to touch on the Rush and Filthy Habits. Filthy Habits $5 yesterday. No better than 4 wide the trip, and gone down less than
Big
2
run.
lengths.
Big run.
Huge runs.
The Hurdy. It was the Hurdy curse, gotcha.
Oh, yeah. Did you really have to do it to me, mate? Seriously.
If you want to get one held up in a run, just go to the Hurdy, watch the race, and I'll guarantee they just never get a crack at it. I've got to stop doing it.
You do. I reckon no more. Done.
Race number 4 and the Amelia Park Handicap over the 2,200 metres.
Move Secret Attraction around the outside onto its back. Manavendra play with Desire Galarian. My Fair Valentine drops out. Kerman Rock heads for home at the 350. Kerman Rock by 2. He's a Zeb come a little bit closer. Closing down the margin further back. Secret Attraction. And then came Manavendra running on. Kerman Rock joined and headed by come a little bit closer. The Dangers Manavendra come a little bit closer. Down to the 100. Manavendra getting on equal terms. Manavendra reaches the lead and comes away for Johnston Porter. A double for the hyphenator. Manavendra beat come a little bit closer.
Win this with 59.5. Manavendra gets the money from come a little bit closer, and our old mate the Rock Kerman running third. Play with Desire fourth.
Was a very nice win by this horse, and he's always shown a little bit of promise to get out and perform well over these staying trips, and we probably just haven't seen it to date, but the platform was there. Really nice win down at Albany over the 1,900 metres last start, up to the 22 there yesterday. There was a strong tempo in the race. There was strong speed. Clint Johnson Porter was happy to just sit back and smoke the pipe, and when the pressure was put on and the horses that were settling around that speed were sort of stopping and falling back in their lap, Manavendra was able to win very impressively, I thought, there yesterday. Matt, was a win of a horse who's certainly going to be more than competitive in some of these ratings staying races moving forward.
Absolutely, and it opens up the 2,200 metres gate now for him as well, after proving in the last two that he can run out these distances. And like you said, it was a solidly run race yesterday, and I thought he ate up the ground. He was pulling away at the end. Come a little bit closer as well for Lulu Ciani. Geez, speaking of model of consistency, he's going well just without winning, and he was up in grade yesterday. Came from a 52 Narrogin rating race into an Ascot race, and you know he nearly pinched it. To be fair, he got run over in the last 100 metres, and he didn't have the easiest of runs. He was wide for the majority. He got tucked in, and then he had to pull back out off a hot pace. So he's racing very well without winning. Of course, you can probably back him for a place wherever he goes, to be fair. And plays with Desire, the other Dan and Ben Pearce runner. I know on paper it says beaten by 7 lengths, but it was in the pocket on the turn and got out with about 250 metres to go. But the race had already bowled, so I'll just strike that run, forget it went around, and adjust and review it on that merit. Very disappointing run from the favourite there yesterday, Marty. Secret Attraction. That was. Do you reckon he was just a bit too short for the first time over 22 with Kerman Rock in a race where you know it's going to be a fast run race? Like I didn't. I wouldn't say I'm in that camp. I would just say that was a very disappointing performance. The horse had the right platform to be able to step up to this sort of distance range and perform, and she hasn't. She's been beaten a long way, and she had a great run throughout as well. She did, and on the turn she looked great. Like she pulled out wide and looked like the horse she wanted to be on, and then just stopped, just hit the wall. I don't know what to do with her from here, because she showed a lot of promise in some of those quality staying features through the Belmont Winter when she was still very lightly raced. She was racing out of her grade, and now she was a really dominant winner a couple of starts back when they threw the blinkers on, and they just haven't had that same effect since then. So you just wonder where to next for this horse, because she was very flat again for the second start in a row there yesterday.
Manavendra out of a Calgary Cup winner.
Shintamani.
Could it win a Calgary Cup? They might go that way down the track.
They might do.
Could be a country cup type style. Could be a mother and son job. On to race number 5, the Linley Valley Pork Handicap over the 1,800 metres.
By a half a length on Wee Ripper. Speak to Me being put into the race now. Goes up on the outside here for Parnham and is about to let loose, and right behind him is Autumn Rebel. K-May trying to hold him in. Speak to Me goes up, grab Thorogood. Autumn Rebel worked on by Johnston Porter starts to pick up, but it's Speak to Me. Autumn Rebel and K-May. Speak to Me. Thorogood coming back. Speak to Me. Autumn Rebel digging in. Autumn Rebel on the outside grabs the lead. Classy win by the Colt. Autumn Rebel has got there narrowly from Thorogood, coming again on the inside. Speak to Me and close up as well as
the fine training performances of Darren McAuliffe continue on here with the son of the Autumn Sun, Autumn Rebel winning.
He's a nice horse, this bloke, it's fair to say, and he's not exactly getting the job done convincingly throughout the preparation, Matt, when he is winning his races, but he's doing exactly that. He's just getting the job done, and he's a horse that is finding the line and winning races. And It was a terrific ride there yesterday from Clint Johnson Porter. Barrier 9, I know leading in, I thought perhaps this horse would be settling most likely last or near enough to last, maybe. Best case scenario, a couple of horses behind him in transit, but Clint Johnson Porter had other ideas out of the barriers and was able to hunt him forward and find a terrific spot with him, I thought. Although we spoke about Lucy Fiore's ride on Glasgow Lass early in the day as the ride of the day, I thought this went pretty close to being number 2.
I quite literally said very exactly the same ride as Lucy's in race 1. I think you might have been watching it. It was great just to see it move forward, and as soon as it got into that midfield running spot, I think following Speak to Me in running, I thought, oh, he'll be hard to beat here. Because you're right, the concern going into this race with Autumn Rebel was you're going to have to be taking $1.85, $1.90 on a horse most likely mapping second last in a race without that much pace on.
They're messy race on paper, absolutely.
Exactly. So anyone who wanted to take the shorts on it, you had to be taking it knowing that was the likely setup. Obviously, that didn't end up happening, although the pace was still quite a slowly run race. CJP was just able to have a great ride on him and get him into the position he needed to, because I don't think he wins that if he drags back to last and has to go around them all. I think Thorogood just kicked too strongly to be able to get past, and it might have even allowed a horse like K-May, who was 3 deep, on his outside for the entirety.
Big run,
right?
Run.
Like K-May could have slotted in, pulled out, and then kicked strongly. So I think it was the winning ride, definitely won the race, and there were some good runs in behind this as well. K-May especially being able to follow this horse.
Absolutely, that was a massive performance to sit 3 deep, no cover throughout, and still fight on into third the way she did. She's been a hard horse to catch over the journey, but I think a win for her, if she can find the right race with the right map, I think is important for her, is going to be very suitable, and I think she can be winning a race this preparation as well. That is for sure and certain. But Autumn Rebel, it's an interesting one because you think now, winner at 1,800 metres, Saturday Company, 66 plus, do they take a look at maybe trying him out over a bit further? Or do you think that maybe that's right on his limit there, the 1,800 metres?
I think I heard Darren saying we'll be following the path of the old Gatting going into the Derby. So yep. I think there's a bit more to come from him. And if a horse like K-May can sit outside of him, and that's the opinion that DMAC has, I think that's a huge run. Only other horse I wanted to speak about quickly, Marty, was Flower in the Wind yesterday. Always looked ugly on paper, I thought, from barrier 1 for this horse. He clearly appreciates the flowing run, and he just got caught up and hemmed up, unfortunately for Stephen. And got no room, and I think he finished only a length off these, which we've just said, some pretty good runs without much room. So I think she'll be doing well in the future.
One off the text line here from Bradley. How about you and McGinnity, sluice boxing? Where are we there?
It was an inconclusive run there yesterday in review, Marty. I thought this horse just never got the opportunity, much like he did first up, to really build momentum into the race. Was the meat and the sandwich, caught in between horses, and then once he got out,
there'll be another chapter to be written. Is that what you're saying?
No, he won't. He won't
another
get
verse.
Me. He won't get me. But unfortunately, when he did get out to sort of 30 to 1, I did have something on him yesterday. So.
Halfway stage of proceedings. You're listening to Racing Rewind.
You are listening to Racing Rewind on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Back towards the tail, hula hoops. In fact, Derek's going to ease Cobb & Co out of the race. It looks as though they're going awkwardly. Something's gone amiss with it, coming up towards the home turn. In fact, she lost her stirrups. That's what happened, and he's gone via Garrett Road. Magic to Exceed led Heskett on, straightening for home. The horseman searching for the way clear. Starring Night, Antique Miss down the outside. King's Parade trying at the 100, though. Magic to Exceed, Starring Night, Antique Miss. Antique Miss is starting to gather them up. She strikes the lead, Antique Miss, and Antique Miss has won it. Antique Miss has won from a blanket go. The heads are bobbing all over the place.
Peter's Investments, Antique Miss, Paddy Carberry for Mickey Grantham, gets the job done over Starring Night, The Horseman and King's Parade. And Mark of Vic Park wants to know, please explain the betting drift of King's Parade, boys.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. It's one of those, I guess the volume of support there yesterday, Matt, for the Horseman was probably why we saw that drift, or at least to an extent. But yeah, it was one that I struggled to put my finger on, given it looked a very nice race for the horse on paper.
Agreed. I thought it was because of the Horseman, another Neville Parnham runner that I thought got backed in, and that was
very well backed. There was a couple of them yesterday, Marty, Neville's runners that were unsuccessful, but there was good money for them. Really good money.
And I'll tell you what, I think the horseman's one we do want to touch on in a minute as well, but Antique Miss just got the perfect run into this race, Rylie. Just had 3 wide with cover, and Paddy was just able to extricate out after Export Girl just had no more fuel in the tank on the turn and just got that lovely free-rolling run in this type of race, which it needed. And the horseman didn't. I think if you switch those runs, you probably get a different result, to be honest.
Great ride, Paddy Carberry, and I think he's come back from a holiday feeling very refreshed. He's sort of had a bit of a break and switched off from racing for a bit, and he's come back and he's ready to rock and roll again, and good to see Paddy booting home a couple of winners out there yesterday.
Double, wasn't it?
It was, and this is it's funny. It's a horse who you looked at the form there heading into yesterday, Class 3 winner, maybe just got the right run there at Pinjarra that day on a day that was difficult to make ground. And
that's how I read
that's
it.
Maybe why we can look elsewhere in the race, but you know, this horse, she's really come on since that last preparation we saw her going around in the Belmont Oaks as well, and winning a maiden over a mile through the Belmont Winter was when we saw this horse really start to establish herself. But she's clearly come back a better horse, and she's progressing really nicely for Mickey Grantham, who's doing a terrific job with her this campaign.
Agree, and I thought, rung by Starring Knight as well yesterday into second was good, but the horseman was the one I wanted to touch on as well. I think this horse goes so much, very similar to Flower in the Wind in the preceding race, where you get caught back on the fence and you just don't have the room, and I don't think he's a push button horse. I think he really needs the room to build the revs and the momentum like Antique Miss had. And if you switch the runs, I think you get He's
just waiting for his brother Stevie aboard Heskett to give him a little bit of room to work into, and the bird had unfortunately flown before Brad was able to find that clear galloping room and extricate and get into his work, because it was a terrific run there yesterday from the horse. So I love the way he goes about it. I love how he attacks the line each time he steps out at the races. It was a terrific win last start against the Patten at Bunbury on a real day that was very difficult to make ground, and I think he's a horse who has shown this preparation that he's only getting better with racing as well.
It was a huge run last start, you mentioned as well. Barrier 11 out down at Bunbury and was able to come over the top of them. You don't see too many of them do it down there at the moment. So that was a sensational lead-up run for this. King's Parade, what did you make of it, Rylie? I know you were invested. I wasn't taken by its run, to be honest.
Didn't get that real flowing run into the race like he did get the start prior, but I still thought that when he did get out, he got out in ample enough time to get a bit closer to the winner, and that was probably where the sticking point between being a hard luck story and maybe he just wasn't good enough on the day was for me there in regards to him. But the drift, I couldn't understand it. I thought it looked a really nice race for him on paper. They spoke to D-Mac in the yard prior to the race. He was very confident. He thought the horse was very well, up to 1,400 metres, was very suitable there yesterday as well. And, it just wasn't his day. But I think he's a horse who's going to be winning more races. And with a strike rate like his early in his career, I think that's fair to say as well.
Agreed. And the only other horse I wanted to touch on in this race was Cobb & Co. with Maddie Derrick, who I think the saddle shifted and then she lost her stirrups in running at the 700 metres. Went around yesterday, $10 chance, blinkers on for the first time. And I tell you what, she's only finished 4 lengths off them when she went 6 wide on the turn and was just holding on for dear life effectively. I thought it was somehow a very good run.
We saw it in a few races there yesterday, from the winner, but I think the way some of these provincial country trucks are playing at the moment, Matty, we talk of Albany, Bunbury, Pinjarra particularly, following horses that are racing at these meetings who are settling wide barriers back in the field, making good ground late, because it is distinctively hard to be making ground at these tracks at the moment, the way they've been playing. Follow those horses that are making ground late, and they might not be winning those races because they're coming to town, more fair playing surface, and they're running very, very well.
Agreed.
Good point. Now, men, impressive racing horses more often than not drift late. Big Mac's stable is in form at present, though, so it's hard to understand. That is from Ben. How did he look in the yard?
He looked great, and it was not one of those, I guess, I'm trying to put my finger on it. It was not as a concerning drift as opposed to All Play, who looked very suited second up at 1,200 metres earlier in the day. You see that drift, and we saw it with Starry Heights in that race a couple of weeks ago. That's when you go, alarm bells.
Alarm bells ringing, Cobb.
It wasn't that sort of drift for me there yesterday.
Okay, race number 7, the Glenroy Chaff Handicap. It was over the 1,600 metres, and this would have brought a smile to your face, Riles.
Have a special view. Utgard Lakey with nowhere to go at the moment, travelling up still pretty well coming into the turn, but no one going better than the leader at the moment. Bruce Almighty is next, followed then by Ace Command. Corn Cob gets into the clear, and Civvy Street starts its run going up with Barra Magic. Material Witness with a kick. 200 to go from Bruce Almighty. Corn Cob is down the outside. Bruce Almighty, Material Witness, Corn Cob. Barra Magic is coming. Material Witness fighting tooth and nail though. Down the outside, Barra Magic, but it's Material Witness. Material Witness clung on from Barra Magic. Close up in
Andy
third
Derrick
placing.
gets Material Witness home. Tell us about the win.
Yeah, it was a really nice win, and they ran time over the mile here there yesterday, and the horse, he didn't begin as well as he usually does. Matty Derrick had to really work him to find the front, but once he was able to do that, and she was able to, I think, steal a couple of cheap sectionals down the backside through the middle stages of the race. That went a long way to obviously the horse winning the race, and I think Mac put it really well on the corner that you didn't probably want to be on anyone else the way the horse was travelling once they straightened up. And while that was all well and good now, we know hindsight's a wonderful thing, the horse has won the race, but he was headed in the straight by Bruce Almighty, and he was able to kick back and win on the post.
Absolutely was. Travelled really well on the turn. Matty kept him in a really, really good rhythm, I thought. Was able to get a length or two prior to the turn, and then they all came back to him. Headed by Quonk, by Bruce Almighty, and then really found, I thought. Last start, I thought, I don't want to say put the writing on the wall, but it was a really good run last start, I thought, into third at decent odds. And then yesterday we saw up in grade, down in weight. And we see it quite often where you see the down in weight horses who are natural on-pace front-running leaders just be able to get that cheap sectional and then just steal it. And I think that's what we saw yesterday. It was good. It was good to see the Luthwaite stable get a city winner as well, Rylie.
100%. And I think when you see a horse run as well as he did last weekend, race where he was attacked throughout, they never came up for air, and to see all the other horses that settled in that first four drop out sharply, and he was still there whacking away, ran third, beaten not far, a couple of lengths.
Third, bless his soul.
That's, as a horse who does his best work off the quick backup, the setup was there yesterday for him. It was just whether or not he could, if that run had flattened him out and he could reproduce, and he was able to do that. And it was a win of a horse I never would have thought 12 months ago that you'd be backing Material Witness as a leader over a mile, it used to be a 1,000-metre Pinjarra straight track horse, real sharp turn of foot, would settle back in the field. But the camp, as we spoke about on Thursday on the podcast, Marty, the camp have done a terrific job changing this horse from what we initially thought he was pretty one-dimensional as what he could do. But to win a race over a mile here on a Saturday, I thought it was an outstanding training performance there from William Luthwaite.
I agree, Rylie. And I'll tell you what, we do have to mention one other horse in this race, and that's got to be Barra Magic, because this absolutely flew home and nearly stole it. And if anyone found it, let me know. Tell me how you do your form, because there's no trial, hasn't been seen since August, and bar plates went on.
Bars were on.
So I think there's nearly every red flag you want to see for that.
We've seen it in the last couple of weeks. Look at Tony Triscari's horses. The bar plates go on and they go absolutely outstanding. So, it's maybe not as much of a big thing for some of these trainers as we make out to be, Marty. And
I think it depends on the trainers a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the ones who can do it.
And just to touch on as well, I thought for a horse that I thought looked very well suited there yesterday, and with the run he had, I thought he was very disappointing. Acting God, I thought that was a performance that was worrying for mine. I thought it was the horse had the right run, and it was a bit flat late in the piece, third up.
Yeah, I agree. I think he got too far back, and then he was on the inside, and he got out, and he's finished 3 lengths off them. But I don't know. I'm not sacking him off that, but I'm still certainly having my concerns about him in this grade. And the only other mention I wanted to say was Bruce Almighty. He's consistent as ever, and he's just such a rails horse. You can see on the front on vision, as soon as he's under pressure, he lays in. Chris had to use the whip in the left for the entirety, and just cost him so many races. You just need a setup where he's going to be travelling leaders back, and the leader's going to roll off. So if you can map him with Olga Louisa leading it all, I reckon get on.
Main event of the day was the Scenic Blast Stakes over 1,200 metres.
Goes 2 walks, is back there in the field. Second from last is Laver Rod, and still back last of all St. Aurio. They're on the point of the turn in the Scenic Blast, and Man Crush about to be joined by Real Danger. Real Danger, Man Crush together, 2 clear. My Bellarmé running on from Gemma's Son behind those Titan Blinders. Real Danger hits the lead. Real Danger in front from My Bellarmé. On the inside, Titan Blinders goes 2 walks running on. Real Danger in front holding My Bellarmé, and Dan's won the Scenic Blast Stakes with Real Danger. Real Danger won from My Bellarmé, or goes 2 walks.
Good tough win this. Real Danger beats Titan Blinders, My Bellarmé, and goes 2 walks back in 4th. Less than a length between those 4. Laver Rod makes ground into 5th. We were hoping to talk to Dan, not picking up at the moment, but we'll carry on regardless. Tell us about the race.
Oh, she's a beauty, this horse. She's got a massive heart. She's tough. She puts herself right there, and she's a sort of horse when you know she's going to get that run, Marty, up on speed. She's always going to be a chance in these races, and that was exactly how it panned out there yesterday. And she was there to be beaten late in the piece, but she was just too strong for them, Matty. She
was, and I thought she had a tougher run yesterday than what she had to as well, because Lucy on Pans Down forced her to really work to get to the breeze yesterday. And I think I heard in Danny's post-race comments, he's going, Chris, move forward, don't take the sit because you're on the fit horse, and she's got the miles under the legs, and he wanted her to be in free-flowing room, and that's exactly what he got. And to Chris's credit, he was able to stave off those coming at him.
Yep, completely agreeing.
All right, just before we go on, we've got the beaten jockeys. Let's have a listen.
Jordan Turner, Titan Blinders.
Yeah, it was a really good run. Sort of got held up momentarily at the top of the straight. Probably wouldn't have cost him winning, but he would have run a bit more closer. So, no, really, really good run.
Goes 2 walks, Keshaw Duran.
I was getting a beautiful run and midfield and traveled nicely and probably finish off really good, but probably a big weight. Thank you.
Michael Poy, St. Aurio.
Really good run. First up, probably wasn't screwed down for today, but is definitely in for a good prep.
Pans Down, Lucy Fiore.
He had a pretty good run. He travelled all the way probably up to about the 500, and then he really just didn't give me much. He kind of gave me the impression he didn't really want to do it.
Holly Watson, Man Crush.
Look, he just wasn't himself today, so, yeah, that's under Luke. Luke can deal with him now.
Gemma's Son, Joe Azzopardi.
Travelled like the winner, but just whacked away. I think he's been up a while and he probably needs a bit of a freshen up.
Clint Johnson Porter, Rockanori.
Yeah, it didn't help him, but he also went a bit plain.
Stephen Parnham, Laver Rod.
Look, I thought his run was pretty nice. He tracked up behind him and give a good kick at the top of the straight. Probably levelled out going to the line, but if he could just posse up a little bit closer, he probably puts himself in the race.
Thank you. Pat Carberry, My Bellarmé.
I thought she ran well. This Pans Down was sort of coming back in our lap a bit early, and I had to make my move a little bit earlier than I would have liked. It just took a bit of finish out of her. Thought she was still a really brave run off a break.
Okay, that was a beaten jocks there from the feature at the yesterday, the Scenic Blast Stakes, Matty. And of the beaten brigade, there were certainly some good runs we can follow, I think, moving forward.
Certainly was. Titan Blinders into second. I thought it was a big run yesterday. Will only improve, I thought, at some decent odds as well. Did get the right run into the race.
Yeah.
And also St. Aurio, I think, is the one that you didn't mind as well. Rylie moving forward. I thought it was beaten 4 lengths, but first up, was it first up yesterday?
Yeah, it was first up yesterday. Just had the one trial. The horse has been off the back of a pretty lengthy layoff, and we know that his best is very good, and he was always going to need the run there yesterday, I think, off the back of the trial. The trial was good, but in this sort of company, he was always going to need that run there yesterday, and I thought to return in the manner in which he did was outstanding, and he's going to be a horse who's only going to be a bit better once he gets up to that 1,400 metres, at 7 furlongs, I think, there, St. Aurio. So while I thought maybe it was curtains for him, he's still only a 4-year-old. He's had a fair bit of racing and some pretty good company, strong company over the course of his career. Good to see him back in action and running really well there yesterday as well. My Bellarmé, she loomed up like she was going to win the race at the top of the straight, and then she just sort of maybe felt that 58.5 kilos she was carrying late in the piece. And Goes 2 Walks as well was another terrific run. This horse is absolutely no worry at 1,200 metres. While he's probably a little bit more effective, it's fair to say, over the 1,000, he runs 1,200 metres, absolutely no issues off the back of the strength of that run there yesterday. I thought Man Crush, with the run that he had, was a bit disappointing. I really like this horse when he leads. He's shown in the past that when he leads and finds the fence, he's very hard to get past, and
He was lame.
Real danger. Took over with real authority on straightening and really put him to the sword very quickly in a matter of strides. So, yeah, that was a bit of a flat run from him there yesterday. I thought he looked terrific in the mounting yard, and there was very good support for him late in the piece as well.
Yes, I like him leading too. That's his favourite position, coming back from 13 to 12 yesterday. So all the ticks were there for me. He was found to be lame after the race, though, so he'll need a veterinary clearance before running. So I think scratch that race, that run, because I think you're right. The 3:10 market support indicated that he was probably right up to them on his best day. My Bella May for me, Rylie, I don't know about you, but I think
she's just hard to place now, isn't she?
Yeah. He's just a few lengths off him, and just, I don't know. I know Paddy was saying that he had to go a little bit too early than what he wanted to on it, but I still thought she had every single chance to run these down yesterday.
Yep, absolutely. And, she's covered some miles. She went over to Melbourne, unsuccessful preparation there, and sometimes, Marty, that can take a fair bit out of a horse, just doing that travel and coming back and having to settle back in and still produce your best. Sometimes they're just not up to it. And while she's still at a very good level, she's
absolutely.
She's had 4 kilos to first and second, ranged. Be interesting. Yeah, as you said, hard to place now.
Hard to place is the issue.
Is what you're saying, yeah.
Rock'n'Ori.
Interesting. That's
Rylie,
an interesting
did you
one.
see that from the yard at all? Any notes or anything?
Well, the horse looked very well.
Yep.
He's just an enigma.
He is, yes. That's why I was just hoping to see if there was anything you saw.
He made the big bets.
His best is very. I was about to say his best is very good, and there was a couple of punters that were very keen on him running a race yesterday. And I thought the trial leading into his run yesterday was symbolic that he's back on the right track and that he's back to somewhere near his best, but he's just becoming a very hard commodity to trust on game day.
Yep, that was my thinking as well. Just quickly, Marty, before we move on, goes to walks, we've mentioned, but what did he draw yesterday? Drew barrier 4, pans down, went in barrier 3, box seats. My Bella May in barrier 2, 6 takes a sit, and then Cash from barrier 4 has to tuck in and ends up with only 2 or 3 horses behind him.
Only a couple, yeah.
And he's been beaten by a length, absolutely motoring home. So I thought he was I don't want to say hard luck story, but a different race shape for him, and he goes very, very close to winning this.
Okay, final event of the day was the Peters Investments Handicap over the 1,000 metres.
50, and the leader rocked this town. Out 3/4 Universal Flair, third on the rail, Land of Valens. Lexington City's up, ideally placed, travelling 4th as they set sail for the judge. Behind it, Avoidance, Potshot angling off the fence. Ruler Rocket going up near the middle is next of all. Madam Kisses back near the rail at the 220, and Rock This Town's in front. Rock This Town kicks. He's 2 clear, Lexington City. Rock This Town still by 2. Lexington City trying to pick him up. Rock This Town shortening stride the post coming. Lexington City dived at Rock This Town. Rock This Town, I thought, from Lexington City. Potshot flew late. Behind the My Dilemma, Ruler Rocket, Madam Kisses ahead of Honeydew Avoidance.
Talking about horses who made the big bets. The winner made the big bets.
There you go, and this was one of the all-time outfoxings, Marty, and we spoke about it sometimes on paper. You look at a race and you think there's 6 leaders in this race, they are going to go like scolded cats, and then they all think, maybe we might just, take the more conservative approach, and they ended up just handing up to Rock This Town, who enjoyed a very, very comfortable lead out there yesterday, Matty, and once you afford a 1,000-metre specialist the opportunity to do so, he's always going to be very hard to run down.
Do you reckon it was nearly one of those cases where I thought Rock This Town's always the predominant leader, so to speak, even though there was a few on pace? Do you reckon they just thought, no, Rock This Town is going to lead, let's not burn any fuel, let's not take it on, let's try and make a race of it ourselves?
Well, you've got Land of Valens, who knows one way, drawn barrier 1 underneath Rock This Town. You thought could potentially kick up and hold him in the breeze. You've got Avoidance, who does his best work on speed. Universal Flair, they've both drawn a lot wider. Even you look at Lexington City, who's done a lot of racing in front as well, and his best racing's been done when leading too. So while there was the race certainly changed complexion a little bit with the scratching of Shell Bell, I think it's fair to say that was another key speed influence who would have no doubt gone forward and applied a fair bit of pressure there yesterday had she been in the race. But with that key scratching, it allowed Rockley Sound to work to the top for Braden Garth and kick clear on straightening and hold them off late in the piece.
It was, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was Braden outriding his 3 kilo claim on that winner as well. So he goes to 2 kilos now. So that's a nice feather in his cap. And moving on to the Beaten Brigade, Lexington City, every chance I thought to run it down. And
great run.
Box
really good, though.
Really
good effort, yep.
Pot shot into third. That was its first up yesterday. Thought CJ gave it an absolute peach and has come back really, really strongly, I thought. Madam Kisses was probably one of the map runs, I thought, in terms of before the race, get back 1,000-metre horse with a lot of pace on paper. Into fourth, beaten less than a length. But the one horse I wanted to touch on, Rylie, was My Dilemma. Oh. And I'm putting My Dilemma in the same bucket as Danny Morton's in
Wonder Weapon.
Wonder Weapon, thank you very much, in the third. It just missed the kick by a length, and it's cost it the race, and he just never found clear room, and when he did, he's beaten by a length and a half. I thought it was a big run yesterday.
Yep, she is absolutely airborne, this horse, My Dilemma, and she...
aptly named.
Exactly right. And the thing is with her, though, Marty, and you want to make her a horse to follow off the back of how good she was there yesterday and how good she's been all preparation, but she's a mare that just has a very low percentage racing pattern, and horses that race in the manner that she does misses a kick every start but gets a long way back. You need a lot to go right to be following those horses and making a buck out of them.
You most certainly do. So it is 6 away from 9 o'clock. We'll take a break, come back with horses to follow and have a...
You are listening to Racing Rewind on Tab Radio Racing and Sport. On Racing Rewind, it is time for the boys to look back and determine who are the black bookers, the ones to be on next start, the horses to follow.
Line them up, boys.
3 horses to follow for me yesterday, Marty. The first of those comes through the 2-year-old race there, race number 1 on the program, Elite Missile for SJ Miller. Good group of owners involved in the horse as well. I thought this was a massive performance by this horse on debut, who's certainly going to get over a bit more ground as well, Matty. It is fair to say Wonder Weapon in race number 3, unfortunately, wasn't her day there yesterday, but she is bursting to win a race, and with even luck, she would have won there yesterday as well. And K-May, I thought, was a massive run for Sue Olive as well, going super.
I agree with all of those. You've taken Wonder Weapon, K-May and Elite Missile from me. I'll also add on, I think Glasgow Lassenite won yesterday, but I think he'll be winning more in the future. Cobb & Co. I thought was really good with the blinkers on. See next start with blinkers possibly coming off, blinkers going on for it to settle a little bit better in the run. And I'm going to have to follow My Dilemma because it'll go around each way, and each way will get me every day.
A little bit of a dampener. We can't see Glasgow Lass and Golden Vale go head-to-head in Magic Millions.
Would be good because I agree with your comments about the trial form. I think Golden Vale is the one you want to be beating.
Okay, now we've got the Tab Touch Mount Barker Sprint on today, down there in the Great Southern, over the 1,300 metres. Resonator is 390, Duchess of Gossip 480, Super Session 320, Bo Zoom 750. They're the runners under double figure odds. Any thoughts, lads?
My best bet would there'd be a bit of traffic through that bakery today, I reckon, down there at Mount Barker. That is for sure and certain. But no, it's a good field for a Mount Barker sprint. This is a really quality field, and I think the way Mount Barker plays, not just this season, but all the time.
It's only had one run, hasn't it?
You need to be on speed, and Resonator's run first up in the state for the Ganjimmies, I thought was super in the Fitzpatrick Plate, and you'd think from barrier 3, Chris Parnham can hold up in front and dictate terms. The $3.90, maybe just a little bit on the short side of things, but if we see maybe a little wobble, and there's some good support there for Super Session at 320 and Duchess of Gossip, who you could argue is the best horse in the race. But maybe Resonator might get out to a backable price. I thought that first up effort with the 60 kilos was terrific in the Fitzpatrick.
And gets 2 kilos on Super Session as well from that first up run. So I agree. I think you do need to be up on pace at Mount Barker. It's not impossible to not make ground up though. And we saw Super Session be able to, in Albany, there's very few horses at the moment that can make up ground like he did. And it was just absolutely sensational. So you've got to take it warily. Even, Duchies of Gossip has been backed in early 7 to 480, I think I saw, and Bo Zoom's been racing pretty consistently as well.
I was talking to a very sharp operator out there at the track yesterday at Ascot who was telling me he keeps a bit of data at Mount Barker, and if you're settling in front, you're leading or in the breeze, you're winning the race 27% of the time. So some pretty pretty good statistics for horses to settle on the pace there at Barker.
Yeah.
There is. It will be interesting to see how the track plays today as well. Last time they were out there, I think it was a soft 5, and there was a number of horses that didn't handle the conditions and were very well beaten with the soft underlying conditions. So today it's rated a good 3, see how long that lasts for, and will be an interesting race pattern, I think.
Matty, thanks for coming in today. Same for you, Rylie. Also to Soph, and done a terrific job keeping it all on deck for the Aftermath and Racing Rewind. Have a great Sunday.